Welcome to Health Empowered, the podcast where I dive into all things health, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I'm Adriana, a trauma-informed physiotherapist and yoga teacher. On this podcast, I'll be interviewing experts in their health fields and humans living through healthcare experiences to provide you, the listener, with education and heartfelt stories. Let's learn together. Today on the podcast, I welcome Michelle. Michelle is a friend, sister, daughter, aunt, dog lover, coach, whisk taker in the kitchen, movement enthusiast, among so many other things. By trade, she is an exercise physiologist and online women's health and movement coach. She has been practicing for 8 years and has focused on coaching women over the last 3 years through her private practice, Pivot Your Wellness. With her personal experiences with body image challenges, surgery, chronic pain, and seeing her loved ones struggle with their health, she has made it her mission to help more women make strength training a pivotal part of their lifestyle. She believes that empowering women through lifting weights and sustainable lifestyle change can better support a healing world and help us live with more joy and ease. Throughout this episode, we dive deep into strength training and movement, and there is a lot of talk about body image and weight. So if that is something that is sensitive for you, please take care while you listen. Let's get to the episode. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the Health Empowered podcast.
Hello, Adriana. I am so happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you. We are going to dive deep into movement today, which as a physiotherapist, of course, that is one of my favorite subjects, and I'm sure it's one of yours too. So yeah, I'm excited to get started.
Awesome. Me too. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So Michelle, you are an online women's health and movement coach, and I believe you're also a kinesiologist and exercise physiologist, from what I understand. So I was hoping that you could tell the story of what brought you to become an online women's coach.
Yeah, well, folks listening, grab some coffee, sit down, get comfortable. It's story time. Once upon a time, Michelle was in grade 8. And in grade 8, there's that track and field opportunity where you can try out for all these events. And I stuck to the running events. And there was one teacher I had who really encouraged me to try out for shot put. And for those of you who are listening, who don't know what shot put is, it is a sport where you have like a mini bowling ball and you gotta spin it, hold it on your shoulder, spin it around, and then launch it as far as you can in front of you. And I'm a petite. I would call myself a petite woman, and I didn't think my body type was designed for that. Nonetheless, this teacher was so adamant. She encouraged me. I did it, and then I ended up making it in my grade to move on to the local meet. I didn't know how that happened, but I was like, okay, this is happening. And I was like, if I want to have a chance at least placing in this event, I need to get stronger. I need to get more explosive. And I started weightlifting. So I guess I was 14 years old then. And just my dad had some weights in the basement. So I was playing around with them. And like performance aside, I felt better. I felt more confident. I felt more capable. And it was ever since then where it was a cascade. It was a domino effect where I was like, in high school, I'm going to pursue exercise science, nutrition, phys ed, all of those courses. And then I knew in grade 8 that I was going to do kinesiology. So I'm so blessed to have that experience and that confidence in knowing that I knew what my path was going to be. And then in practice over several years, I noticed that women kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of the treatment and just support that was out there for women's health. So I learned so much in working in clinics and gyms and, with so many different healthcare professionals, from doctors to social workers, physiotherapists, that I saw things that they were doing so amazing that I wanted to do in my own practice. And then I also saw gaps that I knew I could fill which led me to finally going on my own, birthing Pivot Your Wellness. And here we are today on this awesome podcast with you, Adriana.
I love that story. I love that that teacher encouraged you to do that because if they hadn't, who knows what would have happened, right? It's so cool to see how certain things happen in our lives and what brings them out.
Yeah,
I,
and to really have like appreciation for the teachers out there that really care to encourage and yeah, go beyond. So
yes, teachers are the best. You said something that I wanted to dive a little bit deeper in. You mentioned that you noticed the good things that people were doing, but also that you saw some gaps in what people are doing. So I'm curious what those gaps are that you offer.
yeah, excellent question. So working for the Canadian healthcare system taught me a lot about how to make of like how to prioritize patient health and care without compromising quality because Canadian healthcare system is unfortunately very volume based. That's just how the billing works. The more people they see, the more money they make, which what I saw compromised care. So what I'm able to offer, I have a high value coaching program where I myself is the head coach of it. And I do have people on my team from dietitians, nutritionists, counselors, um, acupuncturists, a lot of people in women's health that I refer my clients to. That again, they offer for the one-on-one support and time that I think a lot of women need in care. And so the gap is mainly finding a team, a healthcare team that I trust and that I can refer my clients to. And then for me, making sure my coaching program is continuously evolving and getting better and better so that my clients are getting the results. So the gaps are mainly the healthcare team, quality care, and for me, it's really important for my clients to feel like they have a healthcare advocate. Some women are just like, I don't know what to do. So a lot of it is education and advocacy on helping them navigate the healthcare system and just feeling like they have the support and a hub for them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. I find that it can be so helpful for people, regardless of if it's online support or in-person support or just not even healthcare workers, but a community of people that are like-minded. I know
Exactly.
that can be so helpful for people.
hmm
I want to get back to talking a little bit more about strength training because you said that you were doing the shot put and you decided I need to feel stronger or be stronger. And then you started doing the strength training and you just noticed how that made you feel. And so, what is it about strength training that you see that really benefited you, maybe when you were 14, and that still benefits you today? And then, as well for your clients, are there specific things that you see that are always beneficial about strength training?
Oh, absolutely. And I so appreciate this platform, Adriana, to share my story because I think, women with who live in different body sizes can relate to this feeling. And um, growing up, I was bullied for being too skinny, right? And part of me was so frustrated because I just wanted people to see me for my character, right? So just as a kind, caring, fun, playful human being. And we live in a society and you know what? My brain does this too. Like we make judgments about people. Of course, it's a practice that I think we can all improve on. And part of strength, the reason why I pursued strength training, because it actually helped me take the focus on how my body looks, which I know a lot of people, women can relate to of just the unnecessary time we spend in front of the mirror picking apart our body. And it's just like amount of time we could like that is taking away from our life that we can allocate to something else that is honestly probably more meaningful than our appearance because we're so much more interesting than our body. Um, what strength training did at 14 again helped me pivot and change that focus and to also moving into I was playing competitive soccer. I actually tore my ACL when I was 16. So strength training was a linchpin for me to manage chronic pain and just kind of get back to the sport before doing surgery. Um, so it was helpful for body image. It was helpful for chronic pain. And honestly, what strength training taught me is that if I can deadlift a certain amount or do an exercise I didn't think my body could do, some maybe, I don't know, box jump or skater hop or something that would normally freak me out because of my knee, it just tells my brain that I could do hard things. And if you can imagine what that can do for you outside of physical health, like, I don't know, asking someone out on a date, talking to someone in a line, applying for job opportunities like you feel like you wouldn't have a chance at getting. It is more than physical confidence. It is like just confidence in so many areas of your life that I am so eager for more women to experience so that we can change the narrative of exercising. I don't even like using the word exercises, but moving our bodies in ways that feel good, not necessarily or changing our appearance.
I love that so much. I resonate with so much of what you just said. I'm like trying to find my words right now because I'm just engrossed in listening to you. But yeah, totally. It's so true. There are so many reasons to move your body that have nothing to do with what your body looks like. And there's so many benefits of movement that have nothing to do with what your body looks like. And yes,
Mm,
unfortunately, society plays a large role in, I don't think just women, I think men struggle with this as well. But
absolutely.
yeah, just feeling like our body and the way it looks just plays a big role in our lives. And there are so many benefits to strength training and to moving your body that have nothing to do with that. So I'm so happy that you brought that up. And I know that you just talked about how strength training helped you. Do you see the same thing with your clients, that they're able to pivot away from focusing on what their body looks like and instead pivot to how their body feels and the different maybe goals they can make in their life or the confidence that they have?
Heck yes. Oh my gosh. Some clients will start out working with me. They might want weight loss, they might want weight gain, depending on their body type. We get to, and I'm going to be honest, most of the clients that I attract often have already let go of body image or weight loss or weight gain. Again, body composition changing being a priority for them. Like they've done the dieting and they're at a point where they're at self-acceptance and they're living with chronic pain. Or maybe it's beautiful seeing this. Like I work with women 25 to 65, and the younger ones right now are really care about building strength training into their life so that they can prevent future disease because we're at risk of osteoporosis and just lowered estrogen in our body. Strength training can mimic the estrogen hormone effects. So there's so much from heart disease, from our bones, from our muscular health that changes so much. I'm going to be honest, like 30 and on. Right? Because there's women that are entering perimenopause as early as 35 these days, right? So it's really cool seeing clients come to me at that mental frame, at that mindset, and then also the clients that come to me with maybe wanting weight loss or weight gain. I mean, the coaching I do is very strategic in helping them change their perspective. They walk away saying like, I want to tell a story actually really quick. One of my clients graduated from her 4 months last week. She's had two back surgeries, has sciatica. She's 52, I believe. And she's lost a lot of weight. And she came to me at the start saying, I want to get rid of my arm flab behind my arms. And we didn't really talk about it over the 4 months. However, she went to go visit family and her grandkids were playing with her arms. And normally that would make her feel very uncomfortable. And she said, Michelle, for the first time ever, like I actually don't care how my body looks. Like my arm flab actually helps me connect with my grandchild. And that's more important than how my body looks. Because they were having fun and it didn't bother her, right? She's like, I literally, this is the first time in my life where I don't have any sciatic pain. And I feel like the strength training we've done has actually corrected and aligned things a little bit, a lot better. So the fact that she can chase her grandchildren and shovel her driveway, she's like, I don't give a shit how my body looks. Which to hear that, I'm just like doing a dance all the time because this is what matters.
Yeah, so nice to hear stories like that. And I think it's even excellent, or I don't even know if excellent's the right word, but empowering. I don't know. I use the word empower so much, but
Mm-hmm.
not even having like body acceptance, because you might look at yourself in the mirror and still not really like what you look, right? Or you might think about your body differently on certain days than other days, but even just having
Mm-hmm.
that neutrality towards your body, kind of how this
Absolutely.
client was like I just didn't care as much about this aspect of my body because there was other things that I wanted to focus on. So having this neutrality towards our bodies can also, I think, be really helpful if you feel like you're listening to this podcast and you're like, well, I'm not at a place of acceptance.
Yeah, yeah.
Even just having a little bit of a different look or having that neutrality can be a really nice place to start.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are listening to that and maybe you're like, oh, must be good to get there. And I want you to know there's a really good resource on if you go to the balance practice on Instagram. I actually did a webinar on body image, and they had this post that I drew more information on called the body image spectrum. So body liberation is at the far end, right? To not be phased on how your body looks. Not always feasible, right? And then at the other end is body hatred. So let's understand that body image is a spectrum, and neutrality, as you mentioned, Adriana, like is the middle. So 1 minute we could be in body neutrality, and literally 60 seconds after we can be in body hatred. Right. So I want to bring a lot of empathy to this conversation because it's never black and white when it comes to our health and our mindset with our bodies. So there are resources out there for those of you who are listening who want to kind of better understand where you stand and where you may want to improve if that's something you want to continue exploring for yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And we can potentially link it in the show notes as well so that we can, have more information for people. I want to go back to touch on how you mentioned that you have younger people or 25-year-olds that are coming to see you and they're focusing on using movement to prevent future disease. I think that is so cool. I think that's a wonderful reason to exercise because, as you mentioned, starting potentially at the age of 30, a variety of ages for different people, depending on their hormones and bone structure, anatomy, muscle mass, all that kind of stuff can impact the changes that happen in your body. But we do know that with postmenopausal women, there is a higher risk of osteoporosis. Obviously, as we get older too, there's higher risks of having falls and breaking bones, higher risk of a variety of diseases and disabilities that can occur. So I just think that it's so excellent that people are getting that message at younger ages that let's move our bodies to prevent future disease. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that entire subject and how you work with these women to continue to instill that belief in them.
You know what? When it comes to pivoting your focus on the reason why you're making lifestyle changes in your life, I really do feel it's so important to have a conscious practice on connecting back to your why, right? And if any of you are by your phone right now, and if you head to my Instagram, Pivot Your Wellness, I want you to watch the reel where I talk about the obituaries of women. It's pinned on my Instagram, and I know it sounds morbid. I often, I would say like a few times a year, go online and will search obituaries of women because I'm so curious to know what women are remembered for when they move on to their next life. And, time and time again, I see that there is no mention on how nice someone's arms looked or how their thighs were shaped or how their glutes looked. Like, I think it's so easy to go down this rabbit hole of looking a certain way. And obviously, there's a deeper conversation to have around enoughness and self-worth and all that stuff. And being connected to your why, something that is meaningful for you, that is going to have you say at the last day of your life, saying, I lived a great life because of this. Most oftentimes, it's because the people we were hanging around and the quality of those connections are directly related to your health, right? So, how do I keep that belief alive is definitely helping my clients discover their why and making a conscious effort in every session to connect to it in some way. And how I do that is celebrating client wins, right? And wins that don't focus on the scale changing, wins that really focus on capability, capacity, maybe their pain decreasing, right? Indicators that really show them that they're improving and that they're feeling better, right? And I'm saying it's a practice for a reason, right? And of course, there's lots of education out there around hormones that change, that affect our ability to maybe do the same things that we used to do in our 20s that we can't really that aren't as effective maybe in your 40s and 50s and 60s. So education and again that coaching experience of just having those touch points of connecting to their beliefs and the programming that's around that I think are the most valuable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to flip that question to you. Like, how do you inspire the belief in your clients and patients to really feel that they could live a pain-free life, or maybe a life that isn't related to the number that we see on the scale or the size of our waist?
Yeah, for me, the majority of the people I see are people that are coming to me because they're living with chronic pain. So, at least to me, when they're talking, sure, there's the odd person that mentions weight, but a lot of times they are coming to me specifically for pain. And often when they're mentioning weight, it's because they have the belief that if they lose weight, it's going to help their pain. And so, as a physiotherapist, I do provide a lot of education around the different things that can impact pain. And, you know, there's just like so many other things we can focus on besides weight that are going to help pain, and so many things we can focus on that, yeah, will provide more value to your life, that will help you in the future of your life for all these other things that we've been talking about, and that are potentially, lower apples on the tree that we can get to that are going to be a lot easier to work with. So I guess when I'm trying to, yeah, instill beliefs in people and have them focus on these certain things, it's just by really showing them the value of focusing on these certain things and having really small incremental goals that people can achieve, so
Yeah.
that when they're getting these small incremental goals that have to do with having less pain or being able to carry their grandkids for longer or being able to cook a full meal without their pain stopping them, they're kind of seeing these different values and realizing, oh, this is actually something I really value in my life versus what they're seeing on the scale. So I guess that's, the biggest way. I don't know if that answers your question, but the biggest thing that I use.
Yeah, well, what you said it perfect is like what is meaningful, what is valuable to them. Yeah, and I think a lot of people go through their lives not really understanding like what is important to them and like sitting down and having that honest conversation with themselves of how do I want to live my life and what do I want to do to get the best out of my time here. I just have a quick question for you. Like when it comes to weight and chronic pain, how do you like debunk that belief that weight is related to chronic pain?
One way is because you can, and this is the same thing I use when I'm talking about medical imaging. Like you could line up 50 people and they have the exact same thing on their medical image, that they have a disc herniation, and
Yeah.
only, 7 out of those 50 actually live with chronic pain. It's the same thing we can look at for weight. You could have 50 people all the same weight who are, I think the BMI is, we don't even have to go into the BMI, but let's say for
Yeah.
medical purposes, It was saying they were obese on the BMI. And 7 of those 50 people are living with chronic pain. So we can't say that that is the cause of pain, right? Pain is extremely complex. There are so many things that contribute to pain that if you're believing that there's just this one thing and your weight is the only thing that's contributing to your pain, that's just not true.
Absolutely.
That's not how pain works. So that's the biggest way that I kind of go about talking to it with people. And I think that gives people a lot of relief and a lot of permission.
Yes, absolutely.
To then focus on something else. Because if you have that belief that like, yes, my weight is the full reason why I have this chronic pain. And if I just lose weight, I'm not going to have any pain. That's most likely not true. So yeah, it allows people that permission to then focus on something else and look at different values.
I so appreciate you saying that because, as you mentioned, chronic pain is so intricate, and people might look at me, 30-year-old young female. She's fit based on what people see, and fit. What defines fitness is a whole nother conversation. Because I too am working on my heart health because it's been on the back burner for the last 10 years, and when people are surprised that I've had knee surgeries and I live with low back pain and sciatica and just other type of inflammation in my body, I really want anyone listening to this conversation to really sink in that we cannot use body size to describe or define someone's level of fitness or health, right? Like society, like medicine is like slowly shifting in that direction of, okay, let's look at blood markers. Let's look at quality of life, like all these other metrics. So we can really help people live optimally because it is so beyond body size. So I really appreciate you just expanding on that more.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having this conversation.
Yeah.
There are 2 questions that I like to ask everybody before we wrap up. But before I get to those, is there anything else that you want to chat about in regards to strength training and anything else we've kind of touched on today? Anything else you want to add to that?
Absolutely. Okay, so for any of especially women listening, I feel like strength training can be super intimidating. Like, do I need to deadlift and squat and bench press all this heavy weight? And I want you to really walk away with some relief that it doesn't have to look that way. It looks some way for some of my clients. A lot of my clients who maybe aren't ready for strength training and maybe are doing health coaching and other movement practices. One thing I've introduced in my practice last year is something called strength sprinkles. So this is how do we build in strength training into your life when you're doing daily activities, whether it be calf raises as you're brushing your teeth, squatting over the toilet right after you've done the deed, or doing push-ups on your counter as your kettle is warming up. There are so many ways to approach strength training in a very approachable and accessible way. So for those of you who are listening who might be resistant to resistance training, I just really invite you to think of it, or not think of it, but be open to seeing it in being a part of your life in capacities that feel good for you. So I want to leave you with that because it's very empowering to have that different perspective from my experience working with clients.
I love strength sprinkles. I feel like
it's fun, eh?
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of like sprinkles on cupcakes, which I also love. So I really appreciate that. I have the same belief, right? There's so many different ways we can add strength to our day, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing where you're going to the gym for an hour a day and you're doing the heavy deadlifts and the heavy squats. There is a lot more accessible ways to start strength training. So I really appreciate you bringing that into the conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. Again, having this ability to speak this philosophy, because I know a lot of people are looking for it and they just don't know where it is. And as professionals like you and I, we're very like-minded that can really change the game, especially for women, around making movement accessible.
Absolutely. I will dive into my last 2 questions for you, which the first one is, what is one book you've read recently or a podcast that you've listened to lately that has educated you on your health that you would like to share with the listeners?
Just have a stack of books here that I had to move. I'm going to say Strong Women Lift Each Other Up. That is by the Girls Gone Strong founder, Molly. I always struggle with her last name, Molly Gabraith or Gabriath. And it's really beyond, getting physically stronger for a woman. It's about mental strength and emotional strength and resilience. And I just think about reading magazines when I was younger, those J14 ones, and seeing like the fashion side of the woman being compared, who wore it better. And I remember being young, I'm like, who cares? Like, why are we putting women against each other? And like, how is this helping society as a whole and the female collective to support and rise together? And that book really taught me like the importance of complimenting other women, and not on their looks, but like their abilities and character, and just how important that is, not only to help the other person feel better and focus on those great things, but also for yourself. Because by doing that, you're programming the other person to do that for other women. So just the ripple effect that has. So Strong Women Lift Each Other Up by Molly Gabraith is what I would recommend.
Excellent. I'm going to have to check that out. I haven't heard of it.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Let me know what you think if you have a read.
Definitely. And my final question is, what does empowered health mean to you?
Such a beautiful question, because this is how I've designed my program. It is 4 months, and my goal is for the people who work with me to spend less money, time, and energy continuing to invest in themselves, because I don't want to just pass the fish to my client. I want to teach them how to fish. And that's what empowered health means to me, is being able to inspire other women to be leaders in their wellness, so that they don't have to rely on seeing a physio, a chiro, an exercise physiologist for the rest of their life, right? I want them to get what they came here for. And I do feel healthcare should not be a full-time job. It should be a complement to your life. So empowered health is really about having that confidence within us to know that we can care for ourselves, and obviously also leaning on support to get there, to that empowered self.
I love that so much. I resonate with that a lot. I think that it's so empowering to be able to help yourself after getting the tools. So that's excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle, for all your knowledge and what you're doing for the community of women. I think that you're doing a really excellent job at helping to make strength training accessible and movement accessible. And yeah, it's just lovely to be able to have you on here to chat about everything.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful you offered this opportunity. And like, for those of you listening, I want to plug Adriana here too, because she is one of my crushes on the West Coast. She's out west in BC. I'm in Alberta, and I have her on my list of people I refer, because her philosophy is just so approachable and helpful. And I'm excited for more practitioners like you and I to continue just changing the narrative around health, bodies, chronic pain. So yeah, if you aren't already connected to her, please get in her world.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. And before you run away today, I would love for you to share where the listeners can find you, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, there are, 5,000 channels nowadays to get connected. Instagram, Pivot Your Wellness. You can add me on Facebook, Michelle Falzone. If you're more of the professional kind of person, I'm on LinkedIn. And then I highly, highly recommend hopping on my email list. If you go to my website, www.pivotyourwellness.com, I send out emails weekly talking about anything women's health related, any upcoming events, different promotions that are coming up, and just I'm here to offer you just so much value in changing your perspective around your health. And there's just no strings attached. It's just being in each other's world. So yeah, I invite you to join the PYW community in any capacity that feels good for you. And always know that if you ever need anything, booking a call is always on the table.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing everything today. And I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Likewise. Thanks again, Adriana.
Great. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Health Empowered. To support the show, please rate, review, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for support on your health journey, visit my website, empoweredmovement.ca. Have a great day and stay empowered on your health journey.